Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today, we're discussing Farscape, Season 1, Episode 22, Family Ties. And this is the season finale. Team Moya throw everything they can at one last escape plan. How did you find this episode?
It's really bleak.
Bleak.
Yeah, they leave us in peril.
It's a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I know. I'm familiar.
Well, there are cliffhangers, and this one's quite elaborate.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff hanging in the air, or non-air, the vacuum of space. Eh? I'm sorry.
So, half the crew have starburst away. The baby has been stolen. John's stranded in space, and so is Darko without a spacesuit.
And he's passed out. Scorpius is mad.
Well, what's new? Compared to the previous cliffhanger, what are we going to name the baby?
Yeah, it's quite a step up.
Yeah, the stakes are quite different.
And he is unfortunately not Gildo.
You were wrong.
Same number of letters.
That is correct. But you don't get many points for that.
Some might say I wasn't completely wrong, and they would be wrong because I was.
Yes. But you were kind of right about one thing.
Yeah, Scorpius is promoted to chief bad guy.
You also mentioned that Grace might join the crew on Moya.
Wait, I did?
Yeah, you said he was one hug away from it or something. I dismissed it. I laughed and dismissed. I played it cool. And whilst it's not accurate, but he did request asylum.
A metaphorical hug.
A death penalty is a metaphorical hug.
Yep. I want to talk about Grace, so I will. I like what they did with him because he drops the stupid I want to avenge my brother thing. I hated that for so long. It's silly, and we spend so much time with John falling in love with him because he's so great, and then it just makes Grace's motivation seem stupider and stupider. And so now he's finally dropped it, and I'm very happy.
Do you know why he dropped it? Have you been paying attention to the way the characters have changed and what caused them to change?
No.
It's the Aurora chair.
Oh.
John has changed since he went on it.
In what way?
He seems a little less together. He's been laughing quite a lot at things that he would not normally laugh at. Like when Grace came aboard, he was laughing out loud and breaking down in tears randomly. He doesn't seem like he's in the healthiest mental state. That's understandable, but Grace has become sort of quieter and more withdrawn as well.
I didn't pick up on John's unstable condition. I chalked it up to the stakes and how things don't seem to be going so well. But what you're saying is making sense. I think that's probably true, that the chair changed him.
Yes, some people.
He loses it. He cries, but he genuinely thinks that might be the last time that he sees these people.
He cries talking to Grace, though.
Oh, he does? I thought he was talking to Gianna. I'm misremembering.
He does cry at a few points because this is a sad episode where they're going to blow things up and maybe themselves.
Right.
There's a scene where he's talking to Grace in the cell. He's talking about male bonding, and he just starts crying.
The every day, every hour, every minute, that speech.
Yeah.
I really wanted Grace, after John listed those things, to say, okay, what are those things you just said?
Oh, God. It's obvious from the context.
Yes. I didn't really want him to say it. So many tearful goodbyes.
This show does tearful goodbyes very well.
Even to Moya.
It's a very emotional episode, both in a kind of sad way, because it feels like friends parting. You just sort of got that overwhelming feeling that someone's going to die or we're not going to see people again. I'm not saying it's that. It's just rewatching the episode, there's that numbing feeling that things are going to go badly downhill.
It feels that way.
But it's also quite emotional because it was kind of awesome when they ignited the planet, the moon.
Yeah, that looks sweet. Huge explosion. Grace's character went through rehab. Good stuff.
Scorpius got wound up. You have to admire his strategy, is what he says. That was his admission that he'd been bested. Bit of a roller coaster episode, which is strange, as a lot of it is just them chatting to each other on Moya.
When you have characters this good, that's all you need. Put them in a room, have them bounce off each other.
A lot of truths came out, or a lot of questions that we'd raised were answered.
I caught all of the things that were answered, but why don't you say things so I can test you?
Okay, the most recent one, Emily seems to have eaten someone.
Well, there's that.
So Scorpius maybe just didn't know or care about Emily. Oops.
As long as he's not eaten, he's fine.
We found out some more details about Scorpius. Firstly, that he could tell when Rigel was lying.
He is good at reading poker faces.
It zoomed in on his eyes. It seemed not like he just had a hunch. It seemed like he knew factually.
Yeah, there was a lot of certainty there.
We also found out what Scorpius is. Did you catch that one?
Nope.
He's a Scaran half-breed.
Figures.
Dargo's innocence or guilt? Well, we now know he was innocent. It was already fairly obvious from his hallucinations in the previous episode. But now it is a fact rather than something said by a person who was in a state of delirium.
I never cared about that subplot or that thread. And when it was resolved here, I really didn't care.
It matters to Dargo, and that's fine. It doesn't really matter to me. I think we discussed it previously. We judge him by what he's done on the show rather than something deep in his past that we don't really care about.
Right, it doesn't do anything for us now, but it is important to him, as you said. If anything, I'm glad it's resolved. I guess sort of, so he'll talk about it less.
One other thing. Now, this wasn't really an answer, more like a question. Grace says that Sebaceans and humans are weirdly similar.
Oh, yeah, that got me thinking. It got me thinking. I don't see how they could be related, but now I want to know.
We've I think given the show, the sort of sci-fi pass, these are Sebastians, they just happen to look like humans, but they're aliens, and that's fine because we don't want to put everyone in makeup. It's just going to be a pain.
Exactly. Which is what makes it so great that they're recognizing, yes, okay, these look exactly like humans, but we have an in-universe explanation. Well, maybe not, but we're tossing that idea out there. We know this doesn't really make any sense and that usually people will ignore it, but it's really cool to see it acknowledged.
We can accept them laughing it off as a coincidence, but when they turn around and go, that shouldn't happen by chance, then yeah, maybe it shouldn't. Wait, what? It's almost like breaking the fourth wall. That's what it felt like to me.
It really catches the attention because they are deliberately drawing attention to this fact of the show that shouldn't exist.
It was only brought up for a moment.
Yeah,
So,
and it could amount to nothing.
it could.
But knowing this show's reputation for continuity and it's in a season finale, that has to pay off later.
Well, that's a reason to keep watching. Not that you need reasons to keep watching.
Not at this point.
Imagine someone sits through this whole season and then says, well, yeah, I'll quit now.
Show me what you really got.
A lot of character feelings came out in the open.
I'm glad the interaction between Rigel and John was kind of silly because at that point there have been a bunch of one-on-ones and it was kind of silly to continue to have them. I get it. There are a bunch of characters they want each to have a send-off, but I'm glad there was humor there. His actions in the beginning of this episode seemed out of place to me. I know he's thought of as completely self-absorbed and selfish, but he's shown over and over again that he's willing to do things for this group, that he'll be the hero. And so it seemed like an extreme to me that he would be willing to sell all of them out.
I don't know if he was going to sell them out.
I kept waiting. Oh, I just figured out in my head. He didn't want to reveal his real plan. That's why he didn't say it.
He wanted them to think he was selling them out.
Yeah, I immediately thought, okay, he has a plan. He didn't tell them because he needs to sell it in case something goes wrong somehow. But then after he was thwarted, I thought he would tell John, but then I'm now realizing no, he wants that reputation. It serves him. So he didn't want to destroy that fantasy.
He always takes steps to distance himself.
Yeah.
I think he wanted to basically make a break for it by himself on a bunch of Peacekeeper, like on their dime, and then probably feed them some fake data or something that it would take them a long time to decode. Some sort of plan like that. That would fit with the sort of things he's done before. Send people off on wild goose chases. He did it with the Zenitian pirates in the Flax.
Yeah, he's always thinking way ahead. He's never as simple as, I'm going to sell them out and save my own hide.
He would know what he wants to get and how it's going to play out. Only problem was Scorpius is not going to fall for that sort of thing.
Now I like that subplot even more, knowing that Rigel kept it to himself.
John was walking around giving everyone advice, like Mr. Rogers or something. I liked him telling Chiana to pass it on.
Oh, that was really good.
The whole scene was actually pretty genius. Chiana just is quite emotionally immature.
That was my favorite emotional goodbye.
Yeah, it's sad. She doesn't know how to express anything. So she cooks him a meal instead.
Favorite meal, not just any meal.
It's actually a lot of stuff she cooked. That would take ages.
Yeah, that was a full-on feast.
Do they even have that much food?
That was the rest of their supplies.
Oh, well, it could have been.
Well, if you think you're gonna die, go for it.
They survive and then starve to death.
All worth it. You had your favorite meal.
Yeah, I don't know if worth it is the right term. Short-term optimizations. Did you notice the DRD?
It had a Band-Aid.
Do you remember where it got that?
No. I was trying to remember. I saw that and thought I bet that's something.
You've forgotten. The very first episodes, John fixed it
Aw,
when he was dictating a note to his dad. We taped it back together and it worked.
how sweet.
It's still out there. It's still just got tape hanging off it. Surely there's a way of the DRDs being fixed. It seems like it should have been fully serviced at some point in the last year.
It seems like negligence on Moya's part. I assume Moya would be responsible.
It's probably Pilot's fault.
Oh, yeah. Pilot doesn't know what he's doing.
He's just improvising. There's a line in this that's very cool.
Dargo's noises?
No, but why are offensive things never translated?
That, yeah, it made me mad.
So we're okay with Sebaceans and humans being the same and just being like, yeah, they just are the same, whatever. But offensive things not being translated, that breaks the rules? Maybe they'll bring it up in an episode. Why is it whenever we swear a lot, it doesn't translate? Yeah, I don't know. Upsets the microbes.
The microbes are
Puritans?
sensitive. Puritan, yeah. They're big on censorship. But what was the line that you were actually thinking of?
When Aaron talks about the battle-scarred soldier that appeared at her bedside, and John says, "Cool, your father," and she says, "My mother."
That was good.
Bang! Right in the expectations. That's just another reason why this show is very cool.
Yeah, why not her mother? Aaron's a badass.
Yeah, there's seemingly no gender division in the Peacekeeper forces.
There were a lot of good lines in this episode.
There were so many. I want to talk about them, but I don't want to step on your quote toes. So maybe
I think...
if we do the quotes, then we can start talking about all the other lines.
Okay.
So which quote have you selected for us today?
Fear accompanies the possibility of death. Calm shepherds its certainty.
Yep. I had no idea which one you were going to choose, but that was definitely one of them.
I have a
options.
handful here. I just kind of randomly chose one because I'm fine with a lot of these.
I love John's response. I love hanging with you, man. They really are friends now.
Yeah. His response is a big reason why I like the quote itself. Because it made me think, yeah, I want to hang out with Dargo. Hear the crazy battle-based language he uses.
Yeah, he comes out with these sort of cones that are like, so cliched almost. They're like what you would expect a warrior culture guy to say, but when they're just chums, it's just a laugh that he's coming out with this stuff. What other lines do you have noted down?
Don't tell me how to lie. It's one of the best things I do.
Dargo gave Chiana a way out.
You don't tell a master how to do their job.
Dargo likes Chiana.
Everyone does. She's the best.
Oh, okay. Biased. Do you have any other lines?
I do, but why don't you say some?
I liked, this is John Crichton, somewhere in the universe.
That's about as accurate as he can get.
I just like the kind of melancholy aspect, like how he says it.
There's defeat there.
Yeah, he's been out there a year, and it's the best he can do.
And hey, the universe is really big.
It's quite large. Are they even in the same galaxy?
Nope.
I wouldn't bet on it at this point.
I think if they were, they would have some idea of humans or Earth or the Milky Way or something. I don't know.
Well, galaxy is the Milky Way, but galaxies themselves are quite large. So, yeah, there's 400 million stars in the Milky Way.
Not 400 million. 400 billion.
That's a lot.
It is quite a lot, yeah. And if they're in a different galaxy, which is statistically probably where they are, because there's like, I can't remember, hundreds of millions of galaxies.
About 100 billion galaxies.
A whole slew.
Then yeah, he's lost. He's absolutely lost.
Another line I like a lot. How you doing? I have to pee.
That reminds me of something.
Having to urinate?
Well, no, it reminds me of Forrest Gump or something. Or something. Tom Hanks is always urinating in films. It's something with Tom Hanks.
Yeah, that's Forrest Gump. I have to pay. When he meets the president. One of them. Anyway, I like this quote because usually in a show where their characters are on a mission and they look at each other, how you doing? There are so many lines that writers will slot in there. I'm ready as I'll ever be. I don't know. So many lines that you'll forget immediately. And then here it's so relatable. He has to pee.
They use actions to describe feelings and vice versa quite a lot. He could have just said nervous, but
Yeah.
it's better off just saying that he needs to pee, because that's something Dario would not ever normally volunteer.
It is a warrior's mentality. I'm not going to explain to you what I'm feeling, telling you the result, what is actually happening right now. I have to pee.
Could I throw one more line out?
Yes, I dare you.
Hey, you bastards. John Crichton was here. I love it. His defiant cry, shouting out
blows
that,
up a planet.
yeah,
Well, you have to say something. You can't just do that and stay mute.
that's what life is. You got to make your mark.
I gotta blow up a planet?
Considering how many times John has had his ass kicked in this show already, I think he, more than most of the other people, wants to make people be aware of him. He wants to make his mark in the story at this point.
Stop beating me up or I will blow up planets.
Why not? Even if they all get captured and killed at this point, at least he could say, hey, blow up your damn moon. Let's talk about season 1 of Farscape as a season. I think we've covered pretty much most of the episodes.
How did it feel revisiting season 1?
Retro?
Oh, does it feel really old?
It's it starts off, well, it feels complicated at the start, but it, as you can see, as the season progressed, the plot lines become more intricate and more complex. So by the end of season 1, it feels more like Farscape. But at the start, the episodes are quite basic, and they don't know what's going on, and they don't know each other. And there's a lot of bottle episodes at the start, or not really bottle episodes, sort of simple one-off monster of the week stuff. How did you feel about this season of this show, being it that you haven't seen anything past this point?
It's really solid for a first season. There were lesser episodes, but nothing I outright hated. And right away, they introduce characters that are interesting and I like to hang out with, if you could call watching a screen hanging out with. Um, I've complained about Craze so much, but they've already fixed that by the end of the first season.
He only appeared a couple times before the end of this show.
It's good they
So
didn't lean on him because he was set up poorly, and if he kept showing up, I would have been more annoyed.
I think at the point where they needed to lean on him, Nerve, Hidden Memory, the last 4 episodes of the season, I think that's when he had to change because they couldn't lean on him.
Yeah, it felt like, oh, we're bringing him back because we're going to change him because we can't leave him in the background anymore.
Can't forget about him, but if he shows up more than a couple times in the season, he's just his character was pretty thin. But they added a lot of depth to him. He's gone a bit weird and
For the better.
become some weird opportunist.
And I'm really excited for season 2. We have these new characters, new villain, weird
Oh,
weird circumstances with the baby ship. Lots of things to wonder about.
Scorpius is such a good addition to this show. I think Scorpius highlights how ineffective Grace is. I know you said this in the first episode where Scorpius shows up.
Yeah.
Like immediately. You don't need to get to know him immediately. He just demonstrates that Grace was not a credible villain.
I love one of Crace's lines in this episode. This Scorpius fellow, he's obviously the one in power now. Yes, we know.
From the moment Scorpius appeared.
Yeah, from frame 1, I knew what they were doing. Oh, okay, they're setting this guy up and they're going to get rid of Crace or diminish him. I have a question for you. What is your favorite episode
My
of
favorite
season 1?
of season 1. I picked Nerve.
Which one is Nerve?
Nerve is when John goes to the Gamic base, gets caught,
Oh, okay,
gets
yeah.
chucked in the chair, first meets Scorpius. It's a culmination of things, but that's really the point where the show says, right, enough of that. Time to inject some darkness into this space fantasy. What did you select as your favorite episode?
It's so difficult. I like so many for different reasons.
So just pick one then.
I'm going with Bone to Be Wild.
It's a good episode.
Yeah, I liked all the reversals and how creeped out I was by the bone munching lady.
Emily.
Yeah, Emily. She felt really alien, and that's something you can only get at a sci-fi. And I mean, we talked about all this during that episode, but just that they went beyond she's a scary creature that eats bones.
It's
And
terrifying. She's
yeah,
absolutely terrifying. I like how Scorpius is really creepy, and you think, oh, they've really, pulled out all the stops to make a cool character that's unnerving. And then 2 episodes later, they're like, oh yeah, here's another one, here's a bone-eating woman creature, spikes coming out of her head blobs. You're like, oh no, they've done it again. It makes it seem like it's not a lucky design. They know what they're doing. What about clunkers? You must have an episode that you can nominate to be the biggest load of rubbish.
I don't remember the name of the episode, and I didn't bother to look it up because I'm going to depend on you.
Okay.
And it's the one where the lady is on the ship and she talks weird.
Back to the Future.
Okay.
It's the same one I chose. It's just garbage.
That's the only episode I was really impatient with.
The plot was trying to be clever, but it raised way too many questions and was just inconsistent. The characters, who cares? It had some cool special effects, I guess. It was not too bad to sit through for the 4th time or whatever. But if I had been rewatching just leisurely, I almost certainly would have skipped, or at least been playing like a game or something whilst that was on. It's funny we both picked that when Jeremiah Crichton is considered to be one of the worst, if not the worst episode of the show, one of the worst episodes.
You brought that up when we covered that episode, and that's interesting to me. I did not mind that one as much as I did back.
It's just really boring. It's just dull. Nothing happens and no one cares about anything.
I really like the premise, though, being left behind, and then he spends all this time being angry.
It plays into this episode because Moira has once again starbursted away without them. So we know how difficult it is for them to find each other again.
Being left behind after a starburst would feel awful. It would be so isolating. There's something so definite about it. Oh, you're screwed.
It's the second time it's happened to John.
He's experienced now.
John doesn't have great luck, to be fair. He says his father's good luck necklace thing has kept him alive, but I don't know, though.
Maybe it's been the cause of all of his problems.
You can have a lot more bad times by staying alive.
Were there episodes that competed for your top spot?
Sure. There was good episodes throughout. A Human Reaction was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was in my top handful.
The Flax was a great episode for just being an episode of the week episode, but also having all sorts of plot lines weaved together. I thought it was a really well written adventure.
I love Durka Returns, probably for obvious reasons.
You're a Chiana fan.
Yep.
So are the people who made the show. I don't know if I mentioned this, but Chiana was just a guest for the week for that episode, and they told her to stick around.
I'm pretty sure you never mentioned that, and that's pretty great.
I was maybe saving it for the season end. Yeah, that's why she's a guest star in every episode.
Okay.
I don't think they just told her to stick around. I think, well, whilst they were producing the episode, they said, she's good. At least that's what I've read. I don't know. Maybe that's all lies.
All PR.
Here's something that's true. Unless it's a lie. They did not know that they were getting a second season until midway through filming this episode.
Oh, wow. I was going to ask you about that because the tone here is as if it's coming to an end. I thought, all right, were they not renewed? Or were they renewed and they had so much confidence they were willing to do this? I could see it either way. So that's interesting that they didn't know halfway through.
They didn't know. And if they weren't renewed, this is what we would have got. They would have stuck to the guns.
That's really bold. Well, they can say that, but they don't actually know if they would have kept it this way.
No, I can say for sure they would have. But that's a story for another day. For renewal, they had good marks on pretty much everything apart from budget.
Surprise!
They knew that it was a good show. They just knew it was also very expensive.
And it shows.
It shows all the time. There was one bad special effect in this episode, though.
CGI Rigel?
CGI Rigel made his return
It's really
for about
small.
3 seconds.
Yeah, it's small and brief, so it's okay.
And it sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah. But we have the planet exploding, so that's fine.
Every other effect in this show looks amazing, even though it's coming up on 18 years old.
Wow.
I think you can tell the space stuff is CGI. Like, it doesn't look real. It looks computery, but it looks good.
It's fine. I love watching Moya starburst.
It was good seeing the starburst from a perspective outside. Like, we saw the sort of wisp of electricity disappear into space. Usually at that point it cuts to Moya, or it cuts to them emerging or something, but nope, here we just see them disappearing. Do you have any predictions for season 2?
No one dies.
No one dies.
Ever.
At all?
Nope, no one dies.
Not even like guest randos that turn up for an episode? Surely they...
Nope.
No, come on. That's a bad prediction. I don't even need to go look at the episodes to know that that's probably a bad bet.
No, I'm not actually betting that.
So is there going to be a death, like a Jelena style death of someone who's been there a few times, maybe? Or are you predicting? Okay. Well, that's not really a prediction then.
I'm not invested in that one. But here's one. Dargo will... No, it's too soon for that. I was going to say he reunites with Jothamer.
Jothi.
Jothamer.
Jothi.
Jathu.
Okay. You're not going for that one? Come on, you have to make a prediction. Every time you make one, it comes true.
Big secret about Chiana will be revealed.
Okay. You going with that? That's quite safe, so...
I want a better one.
You have to bet big. What would you love to see? Think about what you would really like to see.
I'm cool with space sounds and explosions, and I know the show's going to give me that.
No, you don't have to predict anything. It's just in previous, when we did Deep Space Nine, you predicted a lot of things which weirdly turned out quite accurate. But if you want to back off, I understand Farscape is a much more confusing show, so it's kind of hard to see where it's going, even episode to episode sometimes.
Even within an episode, they upend my expectations all the time. I predict John will never wear his IASA uniform again.
Oh. Fair enough. That's something I'm gonna watch out for.
Watch it be in the premiere of the second episode. Or the second season.
We should move on.
Let's do it.
I need to read out episode names though.
Oh, we're back to that?
Yeah, so there's a thing with season 2 where they filmed season 2 episode 1 and then said, nah. And then filmed a new season 2 episode 1. And then some people, Netflix, decide to rearrange stuff into weird orders because of this. So the episode is that we are going to watch, season 2 episode 1, is called Mind the Baby.
That's Talon, by the way.
It could be.
It 100% is Talon.
Yeah, okay. Sure. There's no other babies on the show, so...
Oh, I would love if Rigel got pregnant.
If Rigel got pregnant?
Yeah. It would be really funny.
I'm speechless. I don't know what to say. Let's end this podcast here.
On that visual of Prego Rigel.
Pregnant Rigel. Okay, onwards to Rigel's pregnancy.
There's one for your DeviantArt page.
Oh god, right, that's it. This is the end. Bye.
Bye.